Hey guys, today is a fragrance video and today we're going to talk about a true classic, a 1912 release from Guerlain, composed by the master himself, Jacques Guerlain. We're talking about Bleue or the Perfume from Guerlain. This is a pre-war number and is very reflective of the kind of fragrances that were popular at the time, beginning of the 20th century. Some of the most interesting complex compositions were in place, and Bleue reflects that perfectly. It is an incredibly complex fragrance with so many layers, so many components, so many moving parts, that it is a true vintage classic. I'm sure it changed throughout the years. I'm sure this is not the original composition of what it smelled like in 1912, but it's going to be quite an interesting number for those of us who are very interested in vintage. So we see that I've pretty much almost finished this bottle. This is my second bottle in 15 years that I've known this fragrance. Why? For me, this is not a super wearable number, and I'll tell you all about it in a minute. So let's first talk about the composition of this fragrance. Really, the crown jewel of this pyramid is going to be, on the one hand, purple florals, and on the other hand, everything under the kitchen sink. Incredibly complex, for very experienced noses, I think, and also not the easiest fragrance to pull off, quite honestly. Usually purple florals are associated with this flair of romanticism, and there's some of that in there. In general, we have a lot of purple florals, and by purple florals I mean mostly iris, some violets, and lots of heliotrope. If you are a fan of heliotrope, I think this is the most prominent note in this fragrance. However, this is an incredibly complicated scent. Everything you can imagine is in there. Lots of spices like cloves, anise, coriander, so like kitchen spices. That was incredibly popular at the time. Has some woodiness, very nondescript woodiness. A lot of sweetness in the background, mediated by benzoin, which is quite apparent, tonka bean, which you can still smell, some vanilla, not as clear cut. I think benzoin is more obvious in here, and a slew of other ingredients that I can't really distinguish, but I can just tell that there's a lot going on. Very, very complicated fragrance. If you're into that, I think this would be a candidate for your nose. I have to say, this is a melancholic fragrance. It's very purple, very moody fragrance. It's a little bit bipolar because it has some romantic, uplifting notes, and then it has some spicy, moodier notes, and then it has this and that, and it has the woods and the florals, and it has the spices and the musk. So there's everything that you can think of in here, and this was really the fragrance style of the time. Very complex, and a lot of spiciness really happened at the time as well. So if you don't like spicy fragrances, I think this might be not your jam. But why I'm struggling with it is mostly because there's a very, very, very prominent note of carnation. Carnation is a tough one to pull off. It's a little bit of a spicy floral, and it does not sit on skin safely. Some people can really pull it off, not me. Unfortunately, I have to wear this on clothes because my skin rebels against carnation, and carnation turns into a kind of gross mess on me, really stuffy, really unpleasant, and you just want to wash it off. At least that's how it reacts to my skin. Might be the case for you too. Carnation is not a safe note. So quite an interesting mix of things. There's a lot going on, mostly purple florals, but they're supported by a whole slew, a whole orchestra of things that are happening in the background. And quite honestly, some of it comes across as a sophisticated cacophony. So complex, yes. Vintage, yes. Ticks all the boxes. For those people who really enjoy interesting scents, maybe you want to stand out, maybe you want to be a bit more individual, maybe you're enjoying a really, like maybe you have a very sophisticated nose that can pick apart scents and you want something super complicated and very interesting. Vintage scents are great for that. I think this is a toughie for every day. I don't think this one is easy to pull off on an everyday basis. I think some people can. Definitely not a corporate scent, not a versatile scent, not a scent for everybody. Can be a signature scent for some, somebody who maybe is into pinup thing, or into the vintage thing, or into highly individual thing. If you are pretty mainstream like myself in terms of how you dress, how you look, your work ethic, your career, your job, whatever, I think this can be a toughie to pull off. I don't think it's impossible. You can do whatever you want and wear perfumes and mix them up in a way that can work. But I think this is going to be a challenge just because of the sheer complexity, and some of the ingredients are a little bit abrasive and can come across a little bit abrasive to other people. However, this can be an absolute love for somebody. This, I think, is a love it or hate it fragrance. Because the perfumery really moved away from that style of fragrance. We're not as familiar with it, which is why I'm saying if you want to be super individualistic, you can go for that. Not many people wear that nowadays. But I do think that it can be tough to get used to and process this scent. I'm well familiar with it, and I don't wear it often, I have to say. I do think I'll make an effort in the last few months to finish it off, just so that there's a very small amount and I can wear it at home and I can be feeling all complicated at home. I don't think I will wear it to work. I do think you can wear it in a very light manner that is very personal to you in your very personal space, so it might not be very apparent to others. You can tone it down, but quite honestly, not for me, not really a work scent, not really a date scent, more of a I'm going for a photo shoot, or I'm painting in the forest, or I'm doing street art. I don't know, something outside of the ordinary. But for some people, of course, that might be quite ordinary. I hope that you understand what I'm trying to carry through this video. I love the scent. I think it's incredibly special, but I don't think it's mainstream. I don't think everybody will love it. I think it might be a challenge to wear and a challenge to be presenting to other people, in terms of if you have good sillage with this, if you do wear it in a concentration that can bother people. I think this is a fragrance that can bother people, and I think some of the ingredients make it a little bit more complicated to pull off on some skin types. For instance, on my skin, it goes south real fast, so I don't recommend you buy it without trying it. You have to try it. I would go to a boutique and ask for a sample, or try it at least on your skin and see how you react to it and how it reacts to you. Because I don't think this is a safe purchase. I would not recommend it as a sort of blind purchase online. Don't do it. But it is a classic for a reason. It's beautiful, it's complex, it's moody, it's it has a lot of artistic ideas. It has a turmoil of emotions. It's a little bit depressed maybe, but nonetheless quite a beautiful scent and a true masterpiece in my mind. So interesting. For me, not a recommend, but instead go and sniff it and see what you feel about it, and how it reacts to you and how you react to it. So that's what I would say about this one. That's it for today. I hope it was fun for you to get through this fragrance review with me. Have a good day. See you guys later. Bye bye.